Maybe we'll go to the phones first.
Do the plan of attacks with your quarterbacks this weekend, or is it just playing out through the week and then seeing?
Part of it will be Chad's health. To be honest with you, Chad really couldn't practice last night, so hopefully he'll be able to practice on Wednesday. But that'll play a role in it. If they both are healthy, then they'll both play. Obviously, if they're not, then that'll play.
Is it nice to have that multiple style offense where you can kind of change, the game plan to the strengths of the quarterback and also just different players in general?
Yeah, I think that helps. I think it's always been about, we have a pretty big volume in our offense, so it's really always been about what our players do best, and that starts with the quarterback, and the O-lineman, and then whatever the best way is to get the ball in our skilled players' hands. That's kind of how we've always adapted.
This is a defense that looks better against the run or against the pass?
They probably struggle a little bit more against the run. So they have tried to change up a few things here lately to get more guys down in the box to stop the run. But overall, if you just look at their stats, they've struggled more against the run.
You guys have kind of gone with Jarrell and Elijah mainly in the last 2 games. Do you plan on kind of mixing it up with the other 2 guys this week?
That is kind of how practice goes during the week. Chris really has had a hard time coming back since that Texas State game, and then Duck's been a little banged up himself. So if they're ready to go, then they could play also.
It seems like you guys haven't got much going passing, at least in the last couple of games. Is that just the teams have really been giving up the run, or it's just struggled with the 2 QBs?
No, I think part of it is just we've probably emphasized the run a little bit more. We've completed some passes, at times, but we have not thrown the ball as well as we did earlier in the year. No.
Is there going to be an emphasis this week to try to get more, going?
Well, we always emphasize both, each week in practice, and ideally it's, best if we can do both real well, and hopefully we can this week.
Back-to-back weeks, you had pretty big fumbles late in the game. Had any extra ball security drills, anything like that?
Yeah, and we do them at the start of practice every day, and so that's something that we worked hard on, and obviously hasn't shown up on the game day, so we need to get it shown up.
Do you think there's any nerve in the fourth quarter for a lot of these guys who maybe haven't been in close games?
That might have something to do with it. That might be something. We're, at least we've got to the stage now where we can go on the road and play San Diego State, who's a good football team, and be there. Now we got to take that next step and get it done. Kind of like I said to the players, I think I might have said after the last game, we got to be at our best when our best is needed. When it's crunch time, when it's the time to make the play, whether that's making a catch, whether that's holding onto the ball when you're running, whether that's making the tackle or defending the guy, we can't. We have to step up and make the play when the time is to make it.
It's going to be senior day. It's going to be the last game for the seniors, obviously. There's been 9 guys who've been here 4 to 5 years, have kind of multiple opportunities to transfer out, but they've kind of stuck through it. Can you kind of talk about what they bring to the program?
Yeah, they've meant a lot. I think this senior class, there's some really special guys in it. So I think they owe it to themselves to play their best game first, and then all the underclassmen owe it to them to go out and just give it every last thing they got to make sure that the last time they walk out of this dome, that's with a win. And that's something I think we have to do.
What's their attitude been like? It's tough for a new coach to come in, and it's tough for them to have new coaches.
They've had real good attitudes. Mike Marrow is a guy that's been our leader on offense all year long. He's had a great attitude. Jesse Davis has really played way better this year. Mike and Jesse have really had good years. They've played way better than they did last year. So those are 2 guys that you really want to see go out. They've been through a lot of different things in this program. Max on defense is a guy. There's a lot of them that have given a lot and been really good leaders and done a great job for the program. So we want to see them walk out of this building with a win Saturday.
When you first arrived here, could you kind of tell Mike's kind of stepped out as a leader, Max is one of those guys on defense? Could you kind of tell that those are the guys that? Yeah,
but I think it took some time. I think with anything. I know personally I'm a lot closer with all those guys this year than I was last year. It just takes some time. It always takes time for anyone to build trust with each other, and the more battles you go through together, and the more the more hard work that you put in together, then the closer you come. So, it'll be a lot. A more emotional day this year for me personally than it was last year, just because I wasn't around some of those guys that long. So, but we need to make them finish it right, and walk out of this dome with a win.
Marbo's started every game in his Vandal career. Can you talk about like how hard that actually is, especially for an offensive lineman?
It's really hard, and he's played with a lot of injuries, so he's just a super tough kid. He's played with a lot of things here and there that most kids wouldn't play with. So he's a very tough kid, and done a lot for this program, and so it would be great to see him walk out of here, with the victory his last home game.
We've been able to emphasize to the seniors what they've kind of meant to the program, just despite having not won a lot of games, and understanding that they're kind of the building blocks of what's going to.
Yeah, and I think they know it, and I think they take pride in that. They know how far we've came, and they know that maybe they were part of the guys that got it to this year where we played all these teams close, and that they got to take a lot of pride in it when they look at the future and we're beating all those teams. And they got to know that they were a big part of that.
Okay, let's go to the phones quickly, but we're getting a lot of feedback, so if you're on speaker, could you mute it when you're not talking? So anyway, let's go to the phones quickly. John or Dave?
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned Chad a little bit. What is that's kind of ailing him?
It's a hip problem. He just had a hard time. He was not able to run or cut or really move last night.
And how pleased were you kind of with, I know you said before about playing, both guys, and you were able to get both of them in there quite a bit. How do you think that kind of dynamic worked out for you guys against San Diego State?
I thought Chad played really well, especially in the first half. Matt came in and completed some passes for us, so I thought it worked really well the first half. We took the ball and went down and scored the first 2 drives, and then that last drive of the half kept the ball for 13 plays. So they didn't get it back, and we needed to get points right there in that last drive. But thought it went real well the first half. I thought it was good at times in the second half. Chad obviously wasn't as mobile in the second half because of the injury. That hurt him a little bit and hurt us. I thought they're just 2 great kids. They're 2 guys that there's some personalities that you would probably struggle with doing that with 2 quarterbacks, but with these 2 guys, they both care about the team so much and compete so hard that I told them both after the game I wish I had 11 guys at all the positions that were just like those 2. If we did, we would have walked out of there probably with a win.
And finally, you mentioned the seniors. What does it kind of say about the group of guys that kind of have been able to stick around, and maybe the wins haven't been as many as they would like, but just have them kind of stick around and see it through? And like you said, like maybe their contribution might not be obvious to some, but maybe down the road people will be able to see it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a huge contribution down the road, and also part of being a college coach is about preparing people to be winners in life too. And you can see some of those guys that 5-10 years down the road, Mike Marrow will probably be running a company. He'll be a winner. Max Ford, Jesse Davis, you can kind of go right down the list. Those guys are, they're winners. And when you fight through hard times, that's kind of what life's all about. And they're gonna be able to be successful in whatever they do. Whereas opposed to some people that change schools every other year, or change jobs, or change marriage. Those are the guys that aren't very successful or happy later in life.
Thanks, guys.
Excuse me, Paul. You mentioned Mike Marbo's played better this year. Can you tell me in what particular ways you've seen his improvement?
Really in everything. His run blocking has really improved. His just toughness, his quickness, his pass protection. There's probably not a phase in the game that he hasn't played better this year than he did last year.
What's the difficulty? He's had, I think, 5 different position coaches over his time there. What kind of handicap can that be for a player?
It's hard because probably each one has a little bit different style. At least these, the last 2, the scheme didn't change. But I think, I know Coach Singovich is really improved all the guys in that room this year, and they've made great strides and came a long ways, and you know, it showed up all year, but it's definitely shown up in the running game here these last 3 games.
And one more question about the quarterbacks and using 2 of them. Is this something, I mean, when you started out in coaching, is this the kind of thing you envision doing, or is it just something that you feel, I mean, if you come to feel comfortable with that approach?
Well, I think each year is different. I think there's been some years that that you do it, and then there's some years that there's just one guy that's a no-brainer, and sometimes it's just by what the offense and what you're doing. But a lot of times, especially if one of them's young or if they're both young, then then you have to do it. 2006, we went and won the Orange Bowl at Louisville, and Stephon LaFleurs was a senior, and Brian Braun was a freshman, and Brian played every second quarter, and in some games he played some in the fourth quarter. So, my first year coaching the quarterbacks at Southern Miss, we played 2 quarterbacks. Actually, it was my 3rd year, excuse me. So there's times in your career when you do it, and then there's times where you don't. I think no matter what you do, you're always just trying to do what's best for the team. You just try to find whatever way you think is best that's going to help your team win.
Great. Thanks, Paul.
Yep.
Anything else?
What have you seen that Troy does really well offensively?
They got 2 really fast receivers outside, 16 and 18. They're playmakers. They try to get the ball in their hands. They throw a lot of quick screens outside, bubble screens. They'll put 16 in motion and just toss them the ball on sweeps. Their quarterback played a lot better this last week. They had a 4-year starter that was a really, really good player that had won a whole bunch of games for them, and then they lost him going into this year. So I think early on it was a little bit of kind of getting a feel, for the young guys. But they got talent. They got a lot of talent on offense, and so they worry you because if they get out in the open, those guys are going to be gone.
I know they got the win last week, but they've had some struggles all year. Do you see this maybe as almost an ideal opportunity to get a win at home?
I don't know if I'd say that. I think every week you feel like you're going to win. It's a team I think that we believe that we need to win, and we got to go out and get it. Their head coach has done an outstanding job there. Built that program, took it from Division II to 1AA to Division I, and got a lot of respect for him. And so he's going out. This is his last year, and so I'm sure his players are going to play real hard for him these last 2 games too.
Last night at practice, you had all the players take off their pads, and what was that all about?
It was just the last part of team. It's getting late in the season. It had already been a pretty long practice, so just the last 15 plays of our team script, we walked through it instead of banging each other.
Coach Blakeney's been there for a while, like you said, and I think he's been in the state of Alabama his whole career. Have you had a lot of run-ins with him when you were down there?
I've been around him quite a bit. He's just a good old football coach. He's been around for a long time. Couldn't probably meet a nicer guy in the world, and he's been a great coach. So I have all the respect for him. And their defensive line coach Randy Butler, I coached with at Southern Miss. They got a bunch of guys on that staff that are real good football coaches.
You guys both played New Mexico State in 1. Do you kind of look at that tape a little more than others to draw conclusions?
No, what we do is offensively, we try to find 4 opponents that they played that are the most similar to our scheme. We break down all their games, but then those 4 opponents we put on our cut-ups, and we kind of game plan the same way each week. So we watch all the formations first, game plan how we're going to do those. Then we watch the critical zone, how we're going to game plan that. Then we do 3rd and short, 3rd medium, 3rd long. Then we do coming out. Then we do 2-point plays. So we game plan the same way every week. But no, I would say that they are on our cut-ups because they do some things similar to us. But really, you watch all the games early on Sunday as games, but then you break it down into all cut-ups. And that's really how we game plan is by cut-ups.
You guys do that with defense too, or you pick
Yeah,
up?
we do the same thing on defense. You start out on defense, you watch all the first down by personnel groups, and then very similar.
Good?
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
All right, thank you.